Tune in for the activation required to make an impact through your purpose at work and in the world. From sales and marketing executive to now an international speaker, life and business coach, and media host, hosted by Melissa D. White, the activation specialist. That's me. We're getting real about personal and professional moments with the world's top leaders and influencers to help you activate your voice and amplify your story. Now, let's get activated. Hello, and welcome back for another episode of the Activation Hour. I'm your host, Melissa D. White, Coach Mel, and I'm walking you through this new season of Accepting Influence. Now, if you've been rocking with me for a while, you understand that every season is a part of our journey to living an activated life. We've gone from everything of unlearning to becoming, and now accepting the influence that you come with. But if you're not really ready for transformation, are you really ready to have influence? And who better to talk about this topic than my amazing guest today, y'all? I'm trying not to have a fangirl moment because this dynamic woman travels the globe while living her best life and helping other people transform. That's why today's topic is transforming your life with our special guest, Alicia Reese. She's a transformational coach, international speaker. And what I love about her is that she's her authentic self, whether in corporations or just turning up with friends. She is herself, but she knows how to move in different spaces to deliver what people need. And so there's a lot to be learned from someone who can live life that fully and go through their own transformation to help other people. I love how this amazing lady describes herself as warm tea and a cup of Hennessy, which means she can be the blend. And we all know about that. She's an award-winning author, transformation coach, the principal for RGLP Group, LLC, and the co-founder of True 3 Yoga Agency. Her journey as a female entrepreneur started years ago as an employee in corporate America. So I know a lot about that too. I think we're going to get along great in this conversation. So you already have to show some love. Turn on your notifications and share. You don't want to miss this episode of the Activation Hour. Hey, Alicia. Go ahead and unmute because the people got to hear you, girl.
Ooh, you caught me. I was rocking out to that intro. Ooh, it was good. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I know it's a little bop, right? It's got a little something
It's
going.
a good bop.
Oh my gosh, the incomparable, amazing international Alicia Reese. Thank you so much for being on the activation. How are you doing today?
I am excellent. Thank you so much for having me. I am excited to be here.
Yeah, this is one of those conversations you just get really excited about because for me, it's more than an interview. You ever follow people on social media and that's your homegirl in your head?
Yes,
That's
all
you.
the time.
That's you. And what I appreciate and why you are a perfect fit for this particular season about accepting influence is that for me, like you described being multi-hyphenate, you made it okay to be all the things and to show up for whatever people need. Because coming from corporate, people tried to make me be one thing or a thing, and that was very hard. So thank you for the work you do.
You are most welcome. I'm a firm believer in getting really, really cool with who you are. And it sounds like, what? I am cool with myself. Like, I love me some me. I get excited about me, the way I learn, the way I mess up, the way I create, the way I have fun. Like, I don't care where I'm at. If it's a good twerk song coming on, prepare yourself because I'm going to shake a little something for a telephone. Like, I'm going to have a good time. But what it does, and which is what I've learned, is me being my authentic self invites others to open up and be their authentic selves. Like, you get to have fun. Nobody makes it out of this thing alive. Not one person. Nobody makes it out alive. So I'm not going to sit here and be worried about, oh, you're going to judge me. You're not going to like me. That's cool. I'm going to find my people and we're going to rock out.
I love that. Nobody makes it out of here alive. I mean, and when you put it that way, it's like, let me just put it all on the table and be myself. But I have to admit, before we just jump right into like questions, I know that much of our audience is made up of those like us who came from corporate. They may still be in corporate, operating as an entrepreneur, like, hey, I'm trying to work my hustle, work my thing while I'm still working for somebody else. And I hadn't found that groove. How did you do that? Because that's a part of your transformation too. People
Oh yeah.
struggle with that.
Oh yeah. I intentionally worked corporate. So I
Mhm.
have been creating and running businesses and being a strategist since I was 12 years old. I raised my
Mm.
first, 10, it was between 10,000 and 14,000. I remember the goal was
Wow.
15,000, but I didn't hit that. But I had raised my first five figures before I was 16. Like,
Wow.
I've been doing business for a really long time, and I'm 36 now.
Mhm.
And so for me, I knew that I wanted to go to corporate intentionally because there were some things that I knew I would be able to learn from it. So for me, it was never, oh my God, I got to work this job. For me, it was oh no, let me see how y'all operate, how y'all move, how y'all create, how y'all structure things so that I can then utilize this so it can become my first investor, because all the money that I get from it, I can invest in building out the things that I want that I know will grow me later. And two, so that I can learn how to have certain conversations and be as dope and as dynamic as I am, and also know how to operate in a myriad of circles. Because the problem is what
Mm.
happens is your talent can get you in the door, but your character, your inability to understand how things work will get you kicked out. And so I wanted to work corporate so that I could understand, how do I operate in rooms that either there might not be a lot of folks who look like me, or that may make me uncomfortable, or that they're just people who are just have so much more experience, so many more smarts, their bank accounts are thicker, fatter, wider, lengthier, all the things. How can
Yeah.
I get really, really comfortable operating in circles that do not feel normal or natural to me? So I intentionally worked
Mm.
corporate 6 years, 6 years.
I love that. That to me is a master class on how you make the moves and play the game. I mean, seriously, many of us go to school thinking we learn that, and you said, "Well, let me just learn in real world in real time." So
Yeah.
I appreciate hearing that perspective. Like, I grew up in a school of thought, like, you go to college, you get this degree, and you get that good job. So for me, it was like it's what I was supposed to do. And I love your fresh take on. While you there, learn
Absolutely.
while you grow, and bring it back.
Absolutely. And what I did too, because I understood that there was going to be a finite time frame for me,
Mm,
I made sure that I was building really invaluable relationships
mhm,
before I needed them. So that when it was time for me to call on them, I had already sown so many seeds that when I
mhm,
needed to call on to say, hey, I need XYZ ABC, they were like, bet. Because I had been sowing into the building of that relationship for 3, 4 years, some of them. So when it was
mhm.
time for me to call on and to go, collect my harvest, it was cool because I had planted so many seeds that I'd be able to reap that harvest. So for me, I'm a planner. I was a
Mhm,
project manager when I was in corporate America. I wrote a book about project management. I am still a project manager. My mind operates in
mhm,
project form. Okay, what's this runway looking like? What are our risks? What's the mitigation strategies going to be?
mhm,
And so for me, I knew that it was time for me to leave corporate when I had a boss who called me trash in front of the entire new team. I had not been on the team yet for a year.
mhm,
We had a difference in how we felt about a colloquial term. We had a
mhm,
difference of opinion. And I said, well, you can believe what you believe, but I believe that this is totally fine. They are similar, just different sides of the same coin. And he said, well, you're a piece of trash if you think that that's the case. He said it
wow.
in front of the global boss, which was his boss, in front of my immediate boss, which was his best friend, and then in
Mhm,
front of the entire new team that I was on. So now, because I had been in an abusive relationship, there were certain things that I just was no longer going to accept because I was
mm,
tired. I was
mm,
tired of people talking to me crazy.
yeah,
And so I had decided that day, like I said, I hadn't been on the job for a week. I had decided that day that, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and chuck the deuces, prepare myself, but I wasn't just going to quit without having a plan. And so over that entire year, I did just enough. I'm not saying it's right, but I did just enough so that I could
mhm,
get by. I didn't get any amazing marks or win any awards. That wasn't my point. I just needed to work this thing for that time being. right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy too, because now I show executives how to create team members that don't do to them what I did to my last boss. But
Mm-hmm.
so over that next year, I saved my money. I started investing more into my 401k because I knew I was going to liquidate it, and then I wanted to get that match from them. So
Yeah.
I started setting up all the things. I created a company. I would work my 9 to 5, and then after my 9 to 5, I would go pick up my kid and then work my 5 to 9. Like, I was
Mm-hmm.
putting in major work afterwards because I knew I needed it to be monetized so that when I did leave, I had money coming in because I already had proof of concept. I already had receipts. I had already been
Right.
doing the work. And so when it was time for me to leave, which was about a year later, I was ready to go. I liquidated my 401k. I sold my house and I moved to New York.
I love this so much because you are so strategic and in following you in your platform. And in a recent interview, I think with Coriel, I heard you mention like you're just known for building relationships and that reciprocity. Like you know how to nurture that
Yeah.
before it's needed. And I think a part of transformation is relationship. And you've just done that well. You stacked the deck on that. So when it was time to make that transformation, hey, it was already in place. So you lead right into what I call an activation. There's a reason we're called the activation hour, and the activation is something that ignites you. It's like,
Mhm.
hey, this is now ignited me. It's lit my fire. I got to do something. I can't be the same after I'm activated. So that being said, what activated your transformation? Because you knew in your head, like you said, you had an end goal in mind, but what was that trigger? What was that thing that triggered transformation for you?
So the major one for me is when I decided I wasn't going to kill myself. Once I
Mm,
decided that, okay, I'm not going to take myself out, I was very clear on the fact that I cannot remain as I am. As I am, I'm going to go back to wanting to take my own life simply because I could not handle my life as it was. The choices that I was making, I could not keep making those same choices and also live a life that felt good for me. So what activated me was the decision to not take my life. I had decided that I was going to take my life January 2013. That was going to be the day that I was going to die. I was done with life. I felt as if I had nothing to offer. There was nothing that I could give, that I was worth more to my daughter dead than alive. When I met a young woman named Naomi in December 2012, she introduced me to the one thing that I never even knew was missing, which was purpose. Once she introduced me to my own purpose, I created a program. In 6 months, we were sponsored by UPS. We had partnerships with the City of Miami Gardens, with the Miami Marlins. Like, we had all these amazing things. But what I realized is in spite of all the work that I was doing professionally, I would have to make sure that I was not continuing to be a professional success, but a personal mess. And so that
mm,
activation for me was, I'm not going to keep accepting things as they are. I will not, I won't, I can't. I'm no longer going to accept the things that I cannot change. I will change the things that I cannot accept, period.
that is so good. First of all, thank you for your transparency in that story. And I always like to say, if I lived it, I can tell it. And so, what I take from that part of your story is that purpose activates transformation. Like
Absolutely.
you knew you had a purpose to still be here. Therefore, you had to transform. You didn't have a choice.
No
It was
choice.
transform or die, it sounded like.
Literally, change or die. That's it. You're gonna transform or you go die. Because
Wow.
transformation, the root meaning of it is to change.
Hmm.
It is to change, but people resist change with all of their might. They resist it because it is uncomfortable. It is not something that you know. It is an unknown. And most folks don't like the unknown.
Yeah.
I'm so cool with the unknown. That's the homie. That's the homie.
I, I
Because
literally have heard
that's
that
the
like
homie.
3 times today. Get
That's the
comfortable
homie.
with the uncomfortable.
Get comfortable, because here's the thing. Once you start, what happens is it activates all of the energetic properties around whatever it is that you want, and it immediately starts to make its way to you. Immediately.
Mm,
Once you start. And as you continue to start, what happens is if you keep going and you keep continuing, you will start to learn the things that you did not know before. And it makes it so much easier for you to advance, for you to grow. And then you start to connect with other people. And then that connection with those other people help you to collapse the time that it would have normally taken you to learn it and grow it. And so then that uncomfortable place, it soon becomes the comfortable place. And then it's time to grow again. So since you are consistently and constantly becoming really, really comfortable with what is uncomfortable for you, understand and know the only thing that doesn't grow is dead. So unless you plan on dying, you're going to need to get comfortable with not knowing something. Why do you feel it has to be perfect? Even Apple is not perfect. You want to know how we know they're not perfect?
Come on, how?
Because they started with iPhone 0. And we are on now iPhone 14. And what they're doing is continually building upon an imperfect specimen, an imperfect product and service. They continually build on it to make it better. But just because they have to keep building on it does not mean they're not going to release and produce and sell you what they currently have. But for so many of us, we feel as though, oh no, it has to be perfect before I put it out. For why?
Right. I once heard it said, Alicia, that you keep going until your ceiling is your floor, and you start over again. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about how many people, like you said, struggle with trying to be perfect, and it stops them. And I know you're in that space of helping them get out of that and to transform and do the work for real. Why are you so passionate about helping other people do that? You've done your own work. You're out here now. You're doing your thing around the globe. But why reach back and help other people?
It's only lonely at the top if you take nobody with you. I am a firm believer in community, in tribe. Like the reason I'm able to build relationships so well and I'm able to nurture them is because I actually give a shit. And I am so sorry. I don't know if you curse on your podcast, but I'll beat it out later for you. However,
but it's true. You care.
I actually care.
Yeah.
I give away some of my best stuff. Now, I don't give away all of it because I like money and money likes me. We're supposed to make room for you, resources, opportunity, access, money.
Yeah.
However, I actually care as to whether or not I help someone else. I was not gifted with the gifts that I was given for it to just be about me.
Right.
I'm not that selfish. I'm not that heady, or my ego ain't that big that I think that I'm just supposed to hoard all the things and all the gifts that I was given. I am supposed to. It is a part for me. I believe that when it's time for us to go and meet our maker, and for whatever you believe your maker is, that the question will be asked, what did you do with what I gave you? And I want to say, you gave me these 5 talents and I helped to transform hundreds and thousands and millions of lives because I was willing to not only live out loud and share the struggles just like I share the triumphs, but I also created a way and a path for other folks to find and discover the best of themselves so that then they too can help somebody else. We are all interconnected. Nobody is independent. Nobody is self-made, regardless of how many Forbes articles that are put out about the self-made billionaires.
Right.
No disrespect to you, Forbes. Y'all know I love y'all. Thank y'all for featuring me before. And also, nobody is self-made because every single person needs someone. In order for that person, that self-made billionaire or millionaire to become self-made, somebody had to invest in, buy into, they had to support. So you did not do it by yourself. It is always done in community and in tribe.
Being transparent on my end, that was one of the first mistakes I made. My first go around and leaving corporate. I've coined myself the corporate dropout. Like I go back, I leave, and it's like I go back and I leave.
Your journey is your journey. And
I know.
Whatever our journey is.
You get it how you get it. And so for me, yeah, I learned that the hard way. And so that's why I appreciate so much that that's what you stand on is community. And I think one of the misconceptions about entrepreneurship and your transformation into it is thinking you have to do it by yourself. And that's what I hate about the culture oftentimes with social media, Or when you're so used to being an entrepreneur, your circles, you think everybody just has to figure it out. And that's a lie. It's a lie.
It is. I still don't have it figured out. Every day, okay, I'm figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. And I'm gonna do
Absolutely. But one thing you seem to
it.
master though is the influence. You talked a minute ago about your talents, right? You know how God gives talents, and for those of you that may or may not know the story, it all boils down to this: be responsible with what you have. And if you have a talent, work that thing until it multiplies itself. And one of your talents that I see is just influence. Like you shift rooms, you're one of those people. How do you operate in that? Because some people want transformation, but they haven't accepted influence. Talk about that for a minute.
So for me, in order to accept influence, you really do have to become really cool with you. Like, and I know you're
Mm,
like, what does that even mean?
mm-hmm.
And what it means is you have to become cool with the fact that you will be too much for some people. You have to become cool with the fact that everybody is not going to understand your gifting. You will have to become cool with the fact that there are some things that you just won't be able to do, some places that you will not be able to go, and some things you will not be able to consume because it goes against your gifting. When you become really, really cool with you, you get to know, what am I good at? What am I best at? Where do I thrive? What types of circumstances do I need to be able to nurture and get the best out of me? When you become cool with you, then you're able to accept the fact that because I'm so cool with myself, because I know myself intimately, the way lovers know each other, that because I know myself that well, the reason I'm able to go into a room and influence it and shift and everything else is because I have become so cool with me that I cannot help but effectuate change.
Mm, I love it. So you mean to tell me I have to accept me before I can accept my influence?
Absolutely. You will not be able to accept your level of influence if you have not yet accepted you. If you still
Mm-hmm.
looking in the mirror like, dang, I hate this, I dislike that, or
Mm-hmm.
man, she's so much smarter than me, or dang, how come they could do this and I can't? If you're still there, don't judge yourself, give yourself grace, because again, we all figuring it out, but also understand and accept that you haven't yet accepted you. Comparing
Mm-hmm.
yourself among yourself is not wise because they have different gifting. You have different gifting. Mel, what you do, or Coach Mel, what you do, I may not do. I got 2 podcasts and that fancy intro. I was like, oh, that is nice. I never thought to do nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
What you do and the vision that you have is your gifting. What I do and the vision that I have is my gifting. By
Mm-hmm.
you operating in your gift and me operating in mine, it allows it so that we both are contributing to a piece of the puzzle that is missing. But if you hating on, or you mad at, or you got something to say always about somebody else doing what they're doing, mind your business. That's not your business. You need to mind your business. Figure out what it is about you that you do really well, that you are
Mm-hmm.
excellent at, that you help to transform people in and of itself. When you focus on yourself and what you do really, really well, accepting influence becomes easy as ever because you're not concerned about what nobody else does, because you understand the value that is in them, that they have, and you also understand that the value in you is not diminished because of who they are.
Whew. Y'all, if you're not writing this down, y'all, it's so many sound bites and just moments. I could eat off that one statement and go accept myself. Y'all,
You.
this is a master class in accepting influence. I hope y'all are journaling right now. If you're not, by the way, make sure you click the link in our show notes and grab your episode journal. This is why we journal for activation, root word being act. So my challenge is you better act on what Alicia's saying. Don't let this go to waste. So Alicia, I I look at what you're doing, how you're making an impact. And when I say you live life full, since you show up living life full, like I've seen you like in Peru and then like all these other places and climbing mountains and hiking and zip lining. I'm like, oh, Man, that means you had to make up in your mind when you were going through the things you described, like to see that life then,
Yeah,
to live it now. So,
absolutely.
do you think people struggle with transformation because they haven't taken the time to visualize the life they want?
So I don't think that most people struggle with visualizing. I think
Okay.
that's the easy part. What I
Hmm.
think people struggle with is executing on the vision that they had. So what happens is I can sit down and imagine, oh man, I can have all these things, I can have all these opportunities, and then I can stop visualizing, I can wake up and get up, and then I will decide, but dang, that's not something that's possible for me.
Hmm.
I remember when I was a young girl, my aunt, we she lived in Miami, and we were going to visit her, and there was something that happened, and she told me, baby, we was born poor, we live poor, and we gonna die poor, and that's just what it is.
Mm.
Now, I was raised real southern, so you weren't always supposed to talk back. And sometimes I would, challenge that. And
Yeah.
other times I would use wisdom and be like, this might not be the best time to challenge. What I said in my head when she said it is,
Hmm.
no, I don't accept that.
Hmm.
I don't accept that. And what happens is most people won't accept that their vision is possible. Your vision is absolutely attainable. Your vision is something that can turn into reality if you just decide that that is the only thing you will accept. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you require. And you can create a vision for your life that aligns with exactly what you want if you accept that not only is your vision possible, that your vision is attainable if and only if you accept and believe that it is. Period.
Period. Whew. If you didn't read my whole life just in the description of your program, I was like, yes, yes, yes to that. One of the things you say is your personal life should your professional life should your personal life should feel as good as your personal life. And that stuck. Like that hit. That was one of those things like, oh, wait, let me assess. Am I feeling as good in both areas of my life? And I can be honest, I've been there
Yeah.
where I checked all the career boxes. I had all the professional success.
Yeah.
And the pictures were perfect, the career was perfect, the house and the car were perfect,
Yes.
but I was a personal mess, like boohoo tears, like,
All the time.
yeah.
Miserable.
And I know that there are people listening who are living that life right now. And it's like you're halfway through transformation. You are a success on the surface, but on the inside, knowing you need something different.
Yeah.
Tell us more about what that means when you say professionally successful, yet struggling personally.
Absolutely. I think back to what led up to me deciding to take my life, and it sometimes brings tears to my eyes because I'm just so grateful that there was a ram in the bush that came to help show me that there was more still
Mm,
possible for me. For me, I was what, 25. I was making $90,000 a year. I had three promotions in 1 year, and $90,000 may not sound like a lot, but when you're a kid who went an entire year without running water in your home, or 6 months without lights, and you didn't always have food, and you didn't really know where sometimes your next meal would come
yeah.
from, going from that, living next to the neighborhood drug dealer, and having a mother who bartered cleaning services so that you could be private school educated, and having to go to St. Armand Circle in Sarasota, Florida, and literally carry a bucket walking around that entire circle asking people to donate so that you can have registration money to go to
Wow.
school.
Hmm.
$90,000 at 25 with a brand new home built from the ground up that no one had ever lived in, brand new luxury vehicles, an ex-husband who's a husband then, who was fine
Hmm.
as frog hair and brilliant, a little touched, but brilliant. Um, that and a child who was equally as brilliant. It looked phenomenal on the outside. I
Mm,
mean, everything looked good.
hmm.
I smelled good. I dressed well. I drove nice cars. I had
Yeah.
a really great network. And I literally was so miserable that I was ready to kill myself. So
Mm,
for me, when I speak about being a professional success, but a personal mess, I'm not talking about something that I did not live myself. I
mhm,
lived it. So I
mhm,
understand how it looks. And then, too, how you get addicted to making sure everything looks good.
mhm,
That perfection, literally, it it is an enemy of progress. And for me, ensuring that I looked good professionally ensured that my progress would not be as impactful, because personally I was a mess. And what
mhm,
I decided, after the day I decided that, okay, I'm not going to take my life, was the day I decided that I am going to change things. This is what is not working for me. This is
mhm,
what is now working for me. I went and got certified to be a professional speaker. I started investing in
mhm,
my own mental health. I started changing things. I started taking myself out on dates to figure out,
mm.
what do I like? What do I not like?
Yes.
What works for me? I started actually having fun,
Mhm,
implementing and creating joy. I created what I wanted my life to look like. And
mm.
I started making decisions, right, that aligned with that.
That's
And
good.
listen, and please believe, the moment you make a decision that you're going to do better or you want more, all the challenges come.
That's when they say all hell breaks loose. It just does.
It's going to test
Expect
your
it.
gangster.
It is. It's gonna see how bad do you want it.
Uh-huh.
How bad do you want it? How bad
Yep.
are you willing to go after what the life you said? I call
Okay.
it designing your life. Like I believe that here's where I am, Alicia. Um, like I have to agree with God for the life He wants and not the one I settled for.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
means I have to spend time with myself and with Him so I can see it. Like you were saying, like most people don't have a vision problem. Sometimes what happens, like you said, people see it, but then all that other stuff start testing you.
Yeah.
And that's when the real work happens, and you need an Alicia Reese to get you through that.
And we need a Coach Mel to get us through, to get us activated.
That's what it's for. Yeah, you have to, yeah, definitely to activate your voice, but also have a plan for transformation. This is not for the weak. It is not, you can't punk out on the promise in the life you want. So what did you do? Because I know, like you said, like it sounds great. Like, yes, I started doing, date nights for myself and doing all the things I wanted. But like you said, challenges happen.
Huh. Yes, they do.
What that sounds like it's a story behind that. But how did you overcome that and get to this life that you have now?
So I have a free gift that I want. It literally was how I started, and I want y'all to download it. It's super simple. It's bit.ly. If you don't know
Yeah.
how that's spelled, it's
Mm-hmm.
bit.ly/5 toolkit. That's it. Don't worry, it'll
Love it.
definitely be in the show notes.
Yep.
I'll be able to get that. But what I want you to do is, when you go through that, and it's 7 pages of information, 9 pages
Mm-hmm.
total, but when you go through it, it literally walks you through the steps of what I did to help to, all right, because it was literally like the moment I decided, no, for real, I'm gonna change. Life was like, all right, bet, let's see. My ex-husband told me he was no longer going to pay the mortgage on our home,
Mm.
and that meant I had to figure it out. He told me on May 16th, 2013, and the mortgage was due June
Wow.
1st, 2013.
Wow.
And pineapples, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I was not prepared to pay it. I hadn't been, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't good with finance. I wasn't good with money at the
Mm.
time. So I was
Wow.
not ready. Every dollar I made, I spent. And I loved spending it. Okay. I enjoyed the things that I got from spending it.
Yeah.
My house almost went into foreclosure. He was no longer assisting. So the
Yeah.
car almost got repoed because I
Man.
was not prepared. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to get real prepared. I called them up on the phone. I wasn't hiding from them. I was like, hey, yo, so this is what is happening. I told them the situation. I was very honest. I was like, what can y'all do? How can you help me? It's not that I don't want to pay you, but I'm gonna need a good 90 days. So
Mm-hmm.
what can we do? because I had told them, and I was very honest with them. I am myself. The things y'all see me post, the way I talk online is the way I am in person. Ain't no difference. I am who I post to be. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I told them what was happening. They were like, well, what we can do is we can take the months that you're saying you need us to pause for you. We can take that and put it on the back end of the loan so that it gives you some time to pay it. Okay. All right. Here goes some leeway.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was time for me to sell the house. I sold the house because I told y'all I had given myself one last year once that man called me trash. You're not going to come out your mouth talking to me crazy and expect me to do for you. So I moved, I sold the house, did all the things, planned my move to New York. Life was like, again, okay, bet. Let's see how serious you are. I went from living in a brand new gated community home, pool, all the things, 2-story, 3-bedroom, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances. 48 hours before I got to New York, my apartment fell through and we were instantly homeless. Me, my daughter, and my sister. Ooh, I was like, okay, well, God, I done brought these people out here through the Red Sea. And now you make me water clothes on me. What is happening? Make it make sense, because I am confusion.
You said make it make sense. Like, Lord, I've been faithful. What's going on?
I've been faithful over few. Excuse me.
And that's what we do. But then we'll think like, well, it wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't meant to be because something bad happened. Not so.
Literally. I instantly thought, oh my God, I made a wrong move. But what happened is I'm such a firm believer in a ram in the bush, where even now when I'm going through major transition, because again, y'all, I don't have it all together. Don't let nobody tell you they do. It's a lie. Even now when I go through major transformation, I'm always reminded that the same God that brought me through that can bring me through into this. So my faith and my trust is not only in myself, but it's also in what I believe to be my source. And so that 48 hours before I got to New York, they told me I remember I was in Virginia, at a really good friend of mine. I was at his place, and he was just like, dang, dog, what you gonna do? And I was like, dang, dog, I don't even know.
I don't
know. We gonna figure it out. I still kept going to New York because I could not turn back. Kind of like there's a parable that talks about Elisha, when Elijah told him to, come holler at me, come go with me. And he's like, well, I got all this stuff. He's like, well, come holler at me, come go with me. If you ain't coming, I'm about to go. And so what he did is he burnt all his stuff so that he'd have nothing to go back to. That's what I was doing when I was selling my house, liquidating the 401k, selling all the things, getting rid of it. I wanted to make sure that I could not retreat. No matter how terrified I became, I would have to keep walking water, no matter how fierce the storms got. So when I decided, okay, well, this 48 hours before I'm supposed to be in New York, that apartment fell through. I had no choice but to keep going. My father, and I'm so grateful to him for this, he called me. He was like, hey, well, you have a cousin you've never met. Since y'all gonna be in New York, you may want to go, go by their house and meet them. I was like, well, shoot, I don't got nothing else to do. I don't have a place to live yet. Let me go ahead and go to their house. I went to her house. I'm a firm believer in one of my love languages is how I show love is I cook for those I care about. So when we got to their house, we're talking. I'm like, oh, y'all hungry? I would love to cook for you. Since you've been hospitable, you letting us come and say hello to you. She was like, you gonna cook? I was like, yeah, I'll cook. My sister clean. That's just how we've been for forever. So they was like, well, sure. So I cooked. The food was so good. She was like, you know what? I feel like y'all supposed to stay until you find a place to live. You stay here. I'll clean out one of the rooms for you. And she let me, my sister, and my daughter stay in one of her daughter's rooms. We slept on a queen mattress for about 2 months, I believe. 2, maybe 3 months. We slept on a queen mattress. I was on one side. My daughter was in the middle. And my sister was on the other side. Talk about a humbling experience. But I needed that so that I could increase my faith enough to believe and know that when I move, God moves just like that.
Just like that. Oh, girl, I am trying to contain myself listening to this story. Like, this is one of those, I got all the chills. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I have so much respect for you in sharing this because people don't talk about this part.
Nope. They try and be perfect, which is why I tell all the bad stuff. All
Oh
of
my
it I'm gonna share.
gosh. And even now listen, if you all have been listening and rocking with me for a while, you know I come on here and tell all my business. And one of the things like I said, if I lived it, I could tell it. And we try to hide it. Now I do feel like you have to kind of heal from things so you can speak about it, boldly. And that thing that's happening to you, that's like you said, Alicia, like God's way of burning the bridge so you can't go back.
Ain't
And
no
people
going
will
back.
look at our year 5 and compare it to their month 5 and think like, well, why doesn't it look like them? But they don't know, like you said, having to walk away from your marriage, your house, and all the things. Like people don't know, they'll see this platform and it's like, like I built this in my mama house after I had to sell everything. Like
Baby,
you
bought
don't
and paid
even
for it.
know.
Huh.
You don't know. And so transformation, a part of your transform, meaning you have to reform your life. It is not going to look like the old thing.
It's
Stop
not.
trying to make it look like where you came from so you can go to the new thing. It's just not good.
Absolutely.
It don't work like that.
It don't work like that. And you hurt yourself. You literally, it's kind of like piercing your own self and your own side by trying to make it look like what it once was. No, you want to get back to best. To best.
Mm.
And if it
Mm.
changed, if there was a transformation, if you needed to make a move, it's because it wasn't the best. And understand that as long as you still living, it's a whole nother opportunity for you to create, to build, to enjoy, to love, to thrive.
Mhm.
But you got to be
Mhm.
willing to release the, oh, I can't, this isn't for me, and accept that this vision that I have in my head, it absolutely is for me.
Mhm.
It's for me.
It's for me. Listen, one of the questions as I sat and just prepared for, I knew it would be like a phenomenal conversation, and it is. I was like, okay, so if I were to break this down in steps, people love steps, 3 steps for this and 5 steps for that, and then we put together all the things in the 1, 2, 3s, and then you skip step 2 and 4. It's like, no, if we had to package this in steps, Alicia, how would you explain the steps for transformation, especially as you're preparing to go through your transformation program and open up your program this September? So what are, so you don't have to go with all of it, but just some steps they need to start taking now, especially if they're thinking about joining your program?
Yeah, I'd say three easy steps, because I was gonna say five, but five y'all may get a little lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
So 3 easy steps is to first identify what you want your life to feel like first,
Mm-hmm.
how you want your life to feel first, and then how you want your life to look in every area of your life. There is no area too small that you cannot define and describe and articulate how you want it to look. First, how you want it to feel, then how you want it to look. And then once you've done that, I need you to step 2 is to identify all of the behaviors, all of the actions, and all of the things, just free write of what you think you would need to do to create that life. This is not about whether or not it is possible. I want you to get real delusional. Just write out all the things that you feel you would need in order to create the life that looks and feels good for you. And then the third step, I want you to create what is the first action that you will take. Now, you created that brain dump of all the things that you feel you will need. I want you to pick one across all 3 of those lanes. The first thing is how you want your life to feel. What is that? For me, an example, one thing is I wanted my life to feel as joyful as it looked. And what that meant for me is I could no longer date certain men, because me dating them was not adding to the joy that I said I wanted. It meant that I could not work with certain clients because me working with them was not adding to the joy that I said I wanted to feel. What I wanted to be doing for me, it was I wanted to be able to get paid to think. That is literally what I said. I want to be paid to think. And later it was to think and connect people. That's what I wanted. And then I aligned an action, right? Which was that third step to each of those. To each of those. What was the one action I could do today? Not looking at the entire staircase, but what was that one action? And then the bonus was is every single time I was presented with an opportunity to do what I would normally do, to revert back, to go back to what was easiest for me, what was going to be my now new default? For me, it was taking a break. Don't make the decision immediately. Take a break. Take a pause and ask myself, will this decision, will this action lead me to number one, which is what I said and how I want my life to feel and to look, what I want to be doing. That look is, what do I want to be doing? And so those would be the three with that bonus, number 4.
This is why we take notes and we journal and we write and speak and activate. Y'all, start with the 3. And if you want the bonus number 4, then go ahead and click the link right here below. Go to tribe.gotvaluenation. Shout out to your Got Value Nation. I love it. .com and join Alicia in our community. Tell us more about what you're launching this month with your community and how others can be a part.
Oh my goodness. So I'm so excited. So I have a community of over 200 members as it stands. And now I'm launching an even deeper dive into it with creating the tribe. And tribe.gotvaluenation.com, what it is it is a 12-month program that by the time you are finished with this 12-month program, you will have completely transformed and changed your life. Complete transformation. There are 12 components and pillars that we go through, ranging from joy to vision to becoming a director in and of your life, showing you how to craft and build strategies that help with not only business growth, but also professional growth, because everybody's not supposed to be an entrepreneur. And please don't jump into that boat if that's not what you're supposed to be doing. I promise you, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being a business bestie. I love my business besties. Nothing wrong with it, but it is aligning intentionally to create a joyful life. You will only live one time. There are no do-overs that you're going to remember. You are a perishable item. Act like it.
Whew. You are a perishable item. Act like it. That sounds like a call to action to me, to activate and to transform. Alicia Reese, thank you so much for spending this activation hour with me. Like I said, you've been like just really one of those go-to people in my head to push me to fully accept who I am and show up ready for that life that I know I see. And so I just wish you so much success. Again, shout out to your tribe. If you want to learn more, make sure you click the show notes. Maybe one final thought to leave with our audience for today so they can go run over, join your group, get all the goodies that are in the show notes. So one final thought for today.
Absolutely. Your life is the sum total of your beliefs. Believe greatly.
There's nothing left to say after that. Believe greatly. I honor you so much for your presence, especially on this busy Friday with crazy traffic in Atlanta. So for you to be present, thank you so much. Hey, family, if this has been good to you, don't be stingy. Make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe button and share it with someone else. Hey, even find an activation friend. And if you don't have one, you can come join the Activation Nation, where we help you be seen, be heard, and activate your voice at work and in the world. Alicia Reese, thank you again. You're now officially a part of our tribe as well. And so, guys, make sure you stay locked in for this season of accepting your influence. If you know that God has called you to greater, unmute yourself, start talking, because others are calibrated to your voice. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel and go download the audio episodes on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you like to listen to your favorite shows. I'm your girl, Melissa D. Coach Mel, signing off for another episode. Bye for now. If you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and share with a friend. Also, if you really want to get behind the scenes, Go now to our YouTube channel at the Activation Hour. The link is found in the show notes for you to actually see my guest live and in person, and to even catch more details of our conversation behind the scenes. Stay connected and join us next time for the Activation Hour, Purpose at Work and in the World.